Well, hi everyone. How's your Saturday going? I know that there's a lot of big news that's going on here and a lot of big news that's going on around the country. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there whose Saturdays are not going as well as yours, and maybe there are some people whose Saturdays are going better than yours as well. My name is Jay Edgar, and this is Ed Talk. For those of you who are new to the show, I'm going to spend the next hour pretty much going off script. I've got a couple topics to talk about. But this is completely off scripted, and there's no article reading, there's no script, there's no nothing. This is just going to be me talking to you, the listener, the people who are goodly enough to come and listen to this show. If you are new to the show and you're watching this over on Facebook, or you're watching on one of the other platforms, we're streaming live right now to YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, DLive, and Facebook. But on Facebook, I cannot see your messages. So, if you are watching over on Zuckerberg's wondrous creation that has destroyed productivity for my generation for years to come, head on over to one of the links that's sitting above you there. There are 3 of them right on top that'll bring you into one of the live rooms, and you can participate in this show, because I don't want to talk about the 3 topics that you see on the screen there, but I'm going to as we go along. I want to hear from you. I want to answer your questions here. So, we're going to get everything moved around here. I'm going to move the live chat up in front of me, and it's going to be time for us to get started here. Once again, remember, if you're over on Facebook, get into the DLive, the YouTube, or the Twitch room, because then I can see your messages. So, I got a little bit of gripe. Those of you who follow my gaming content already know how I feel about all of this. I've got napkins all over my desk. My desk is always a mess. But I do have cold brew. First cold brew of the year, by the way. I love cold brew coffee. It is absolutely one of my favorite things, and it's the only kind of coffee that I can drink black. I made a fresh pot today, and now I'm going to start dumping some money into the local convenience store that's around the corner from me, because they've got an incredible coffee bar. They have one of the best coffee bars out there. And I'm going to go there and get cold brew because I can drink it straight. I can't drink regular coffee straight, but cold brew, I can just suck it up out of the straw just like this, and it is delicious. It is not quite as acidic, not quite. It gets it's a little bit more concentrated than coffee. Actually, like with cold brew coffee, you're supposed to drink it over ice, but I never keep ice in the house, and I don't have any ice trays either, so it's really concentrated, so you can go ahead and drink it over ice, but I just drink it as is, and it's delicious. So if you've never tried cold brew coffee before, I highly recommend it. It is probably one of the best things out there. We're gonna crank the music back just a little bit more here. Took it off the rotation again, so it'll actually kick out at some point here. So Yeah, the cold brew coffee is delicious. Absolutely recommend it. And I probably doxed myself by saying what the name of the local convenience store is, even though they're all over Wisconsin, and I've made it no secret that I live in the great state of Wisconsin. But yeah, it's a Quick Trip cup. There's a Quick Trip down the road from me. They have cold brew, but this is homemade. This is good stuff. So, going back to what I was saying before, for those of you who watch my gaming content, you already know how I feel about this. But I've had it up to here with YouTube, and I know that my days over on YouTube are numbered. And yes, I do have the YouTube link in the description, obviously, because I do hope that some people will come over and watch me over there for as long as I'm there. But my days on YouTube are numbered, and a lot of your favorite creators, their days on YouTube are numbered too. I'm going to let you know that right away. Aaron Plays Games is going to be on YouTube forever. Who else is safe over there? Rouge no, he'll get kicked off at some point. All the safe accounts though, they're gonna be there forever. All the people who are family friendly and feel good, and their days may be numbered too for all we know off of this, but for the most part they're gonna be safe. But anybody who's got any sort of edgy opinion, their days are numbered over there. Especially if their content is news or any sort of entertainment. So for those of you who watch Ed's World, when I have a guest on, I use various visual aids when I'm up there. Sometimes it'll be just a picture and I've got pictures to put up. Sometimes it'll be a screenshot, or sometimes it'll actually be a video of whatever it is that I wanted to put on there, so that we can sit down and watch and listen to what the people had to say. Instead of me sitting here trying to paraphrase the whole thing on the fly, we'll actually just sit down, watch the source, and get it straight from where it was coming from. Well, when I put the video up, I will usually cut it out because the video, the original source, is usually quite 5-10 minutes long, and I'm not going to put 10 minutes of content for one video into my podcast when we've got 2 hours to sit down and listen to me talking back and forth to the guest. I would much rather talk to the guest for 10 minutes than listen to 10 minutes of CNN on my podcast. That's just me, because CNN sucks. But to cut something up, to cut a little piece of video up and put it up into the podcast so we can watch it for 30 seconds to 120 seconds to get the gist of what they're saying, to get the point of what we're getting at, that's okay by me. But what I do with that then is I'll cut up the section that I want to, and then I'll put it through another program on there where I can put a frame around the picture, around the video rather. Usually it'll have it like an angled frame, so it'll distort the image a little bit, because, I mean, what I'm using on YouTube is directly qualifies for fair use, which means that they shouldn't be able to do anything about it at all. I think you have like 5 minutes of the original content that you can use at this point. I know they just changed it in the terms of service, but you can use like 5 minutes of the original content and not get any sort of strike. And then, I mean, it's cut up, it's edited. Everything in there falls under fair use without me putting the frame around it, but I still put the frame around it. And plus, it's fair use on top of it, because it's in another frame on the podcast. I don't do full screen on the podcast. I put it off to the side, and you can still see myself and the guest. So everything that I am doing with that is fair use. Now, when I put the video up, after I edit it and I put the frame up to it, I put it up to another Google account that I have. I put it up to YouTube on another Google account that I have. I load it up there so I can get the YouTube screen to come back up and bring it back over to the other, into there, just so I can link it into the browser feature of OBS. This is the reason that I do it. I went through my list of videos that are over on my sock account that I use to post everything up to, and 15 of them, they're unlisted, by the way. That's something you have to keep in mind. They are unlisted, so nobody can search for these videos. Nobody can find these videos. Nobody can find anything at all on this, unless I give the link out directly to somebody, which I don't do. I don't give the link out to everybody. But there are like 15 videos that are up on there right now that are set as copyright struck and it was a manual copyright strike. I don't have any strikes against my account. They're not striking me that way, but every one of them is listed as copyrighted and demonetized. And it's manually copyrighted and demonetized. And I mean, I get the email. I know when they do it. And sometimes it is weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon weeks after when I put the video up. So somebody is finding a way to get into my sock account and look at these videos for copyright, and I don't know how, because like I said, I mean, that is not listed to anything that I do. It's not on this channel. Kovaboyka, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Hello, how are we doing? If you got any questions for me, feel free to leave them up in the live feed. How we doing? Anyway, going back off the rant that I had there. So yeah, I don't know how people are getting the links. I don't know how they're looking at these videos and determining that they are copyright. I know there's algorithms in YouTube, but because they're unlisted, there's supposed to be. Oops, sorry, I just bumped the microphone when I did that. There's supposed to be no way for these people to go out and search any of this. And yet they keep going out and finding it. And once again, like I say, that they're leaving what's on the podcast on my regular channel alone, which is helpful to me to some point. I do know that my days are numbered of the fact that they're going to start finding out the fact that I'm putting it in there. But, I mean, they're figuring a way to get the links to these videos and then getting into the videos and seeing them. It's only a matter of time before the algorithm alerts them to the same audio files that are going on in the podcast. It's only a matter of time at this point. But, of course, they'd rather go sit through the 2 and 3 minute clip that I put up on the sock account rather than sit through 2 to 2.5 hours of the podcast at a time. So the length of the podcast is what's saving me from getting the strikes on my personal account. It just pisses me off the fact that I hid these videos because I'm not distributing anything for public use. I'm putting them up on the channel so I can use them as a visual aid. 4 of them have been blocked outright. And that's how I know that they're finding it after the fact, because I put them up immediately before the podcast, and then weeks later they get blocked, but I can still use them for the podcast. That's just one aspect of it as well. That's not the only thing that's happened on the Freedom Scoop side, and even friends of Freedom Scoop are being affected by this. Stephen Ignoramus, who is currently out looking at the carnage of what's going on in D.C. right now. Godspeed with Stephen Ignoramus, and I do hope that he stays safe while he's out there. I know he's got a gas mask, so that'll keep him protected from some point there. Godspeed with him. But he had one of his daily Ignoramus streams taken down entirely. Now, I never got, and I know that he got the email. He screen capped the email, so I know a little bit of what happened there, but he never got a reason for why it was taken down. He was just told that it violated the community guidelines and it was taken down. Just eliminated and deleted. He has no record of it. He's got no way to go and pull it back off. He's got nothing. Nothing. 3 to 4 hours of hard work by the guy just gone like that. I've never had a video taken down myself. I had one blocked in all. I've had 3 blocked in all countries. And then one got unblocked after they realized it was fair use. I'm sorry, let me take that back. I've had 4 blocked in all countries because I forgot about the Rush one. Yeah, the EIB network tagged me on one too, and that kind of pissed me off on top of it. And it wasn't even for something that I took from the EIB network. That was the funniest part. I took a clip from Blaze TV about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going back after the head of DHS, I believe it was, in one of their little house briefings where they sit and they pat each other on the nuts and tell each other how good of a job they're doing while they're going after the cabinet of the evil orange man. So I took one of those videos and I cut it up, obviously, and the EIB copyright struck me, even though I took the clip from the Blaze. And I appealed that, and that one came back, so that one is okay. That was blocked in all countries. I did have one that was blocked in all countries that I took down because I didn't put the blur filter around it. It was back when I was doing solo videos. I used clips of Kirsten Gillibrand's announcement over on Jimmy Fallon. Was it Fallon? No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Fallon. Yeah, over on Jimmy Fallon when Kirsten Gillibrand announced she was running for president. I took the clips of that and put it up in the solo video. And when I did that, I didn't put the blur filter on it, and I didn't dirty it up or put a frame around it. I just put it up as was, which was my mistake, and that, of course, was a problem. So, yeah, that one got... I actually removed that, put the blur filter back on, and put it back up, and they never said another word about it. So, That was the one hit that I got on this channel. And then those of you who follow my Twitter are probably familiar with a woman named Mackenzie, who has been on this show before. She's been on Stephen Ignoramus' show before. She was supposed to be on Generational Gap at one point, and she's in their Discord server, so she can be, but they never got it to work out. And she's a great interview. I really enjoy having her. Her live streams are what they are, but I mean, she sits down like this. She sits down and has a talk on live stream. She just puts it on YouTube. And I listened to it once. It's like a 3-hour live stream that she does, where she just sits and talks back and forth with the audience. It's kind of pleasant. I watched the first one, and yeah, it's nothing really big and major. She talks more about cultural things, especially cultural things that fit around her life, cosplay, and some of the alternative lifestyles that surround that. And she got a stream that was taken down. And once again, no explanation as to why it was taken down. She just got the screenshot and said, this is down. And she lost the live stream there. Yeah. So YouTube is getting really, really happy with the copyright and the takedown button. Now, none of us actually got a content strike in any of the examples that I put forward. We didn't get any sort of strike. There's no disciplinary action coming from YouTube other than the fact that I can't monetize any of the videos. Some of them are blocked from being viewed in other countries, and Mackenzie and Steven both got their videos taken down. Other than that, there's been no punitive action that's come from Google at this point. But it's coming. Tim Pool talks about it. That's 3/4 of what Tim Pool talks about, and by this point, this has become part of Steven Crowder's shtick. I don't even know if Steven Crowder actually has problems with YouTube at this point, because he's making a ton of money over coming out and claiming that he's having problems with YouTube, and yet I've never had a problem searching out any of his videos, ever. But man, he sure does love to say that he's got a problem with it. But he's crossing the threshold of corporate YouTube channel too. He's definitely one of the bigger ones. What is he at? Like 4 million subscribers at this point? So he's one of the bigger ones. I'm demonetized on every single one of my videos, even though every time I turn it on, I see an advertisement, unless I'm watching on my computer and I've got ad blocker on. But tell me more about how you're demonetized. Fucking prick. So he's moving into the range of corporate. I don't care what he tries to tell you, but like Tim Pool is saying that he's got stuff coming down. The alternative side of YouTube is starting to fall apart. Because they don't... Well, I can't speak for Susan WikiWiki. Let me rephrase that before I dig myself into a hole for this. It seems, with the actions that they're taking, that they don't want this to be YouTube anymore. They want it to be ThemTube. What I mean when I say that, of course, is the fact that they just want... And I like the way that Styx always puts this, because he talks about it too. They don't want the independent creators on there that built the site anymore, because it's edgy and people boycott it and they threaten advertisers, and when advertisers get threatened, that threatens Google's bottom line. YouTube is running at a loss already. But yeah, Will Smith came out. He always comes out whenever there's a censorship issue. He comes out and says, well, YouTube, they want to change their algorithm, so it's not YouTube anymore. They don't want it to be about any of the edgy fucking creators that made the site great or anything. They want it to be about fucking Katy Perry and Will Smith. They'll pay Will Smith and Katy fucking Perry to be on the site and draw more of an audience than they're already getting from their overly fucking commercialized this and that and the next thing. And he goes on, and it's always Katy Perry and Will Smith too, which is funny. And it is part of the reason that I came up and said right away at the beginning of the video that this is available on Twitch, DLive, Periscope, and Facebook as well. Because, if you're a content creator and you've got any sort of edge to you at all whatsoever at this point, and you are not branching out to other platforms, you are doing a lot of hard work right now for nothing. You're building a huge audience doing a lot of hard work for absolutely nothing at this point. Absolutely nothing. Because the one day you're going to say something, you're going to fuck up somewhere, you're going to say the wrong thing, you're going to have a call-in show, and that's something else I want to talk about here as we go. You're going to have a call-in show, you're going to have somebody call in and drop the N-bomb over and over and over and over and over again. And some algorithm is going to hear it. There's somebody from YouTube watching this video, I guarantee. Even though this is a very small channel, I've only got 203 subs right now. With some of the content that I've put out there and just some of the things that I've seen out of my channel, there's somebody watching this channel. So somebody's going to come on, drop the N-bomb. One of my guests, or maybe if I do a call-in or anything else like that, she's going to come in and drop the N-bomb, and that's going to be it. The channel's going to be gone. Or limited state, or whatever the fuck else they want to do for punitive action, so people keep putting content up. The channel will be gone, and all that hard work is gone. Now, I've been taking everything else that I put. It's supposed to be auto-uploading to BitChute, but I just looked over at my BitChute, and it's not doing that. So now that, because I do download everything, I download all my videos off YouTube so I can run them through the audio platform and get them up to the audio. I am going to download everything and re-up it to BitChute at this point manually, because it's not doing it automatically. But I mean, that's an extra step, and I'm already running way behind. I didn't do any audio this week, and I feel bad about it. I am going to put all the episodes up from this past week on audio, but I did not do any audio this week, and I need to. I need to keep up with that. The original intent for Contemporary was for me to get on, do the show, and have the audio up and ready for people's morning commute. Now, I realize that with pandemic lockdown, there isn't going to be much of a morning commute anymore, but that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be up and ready so people in Central Time and West could have it on their way to work. It's what I wanted to be. Oh, Insatiable's here. How we doing? Yeah, morning commute sucks. Yeah, I don't know how much audience I'm going to get today, because I don't know how you are in the rest of the country, but either people are glued to the fucking riots right now, which are absolutely stupid at this point, or they're out in their garden doing something that has nothing to do with the news, which I very much encourage you to do, because it's a really nice day out. It is a really awesome day out. Had I not had to go scrap for overtime today, I would probably be out gardening myself today, because it's super nice. It's not so warm that you break out into a gallon of sweat as soon as you walk outside. There's a nice little chill in the air, so you can stand to be out there. The sun has shone all day. There's been a little cloud cover here and there, but for the most part, the sun has shone all day. I'm looking at the window right now. The sun is just beaming. And I got my carnivorous plants. They're doing well, and I really need to do some maintenance with some of them. But yeah, I could be out there playing with carnivorous plants. Instead, I'm sitting in here talking to you guys, because I do need to take some time and give back to the audience. You guys are everything to me. Yeah, it's just out here scamming Amazon. Yeah, just out here scamming Amazon. What's going on with Amazon, Unsatiable? Anyway, yeah, if you're not doing any sort of alternative media, like I said, you're just fooling yourself at this point. That hard work is going to be gone, and even some of the family-friendly ones are going to start getting hit at some point too, because they're going to be displaced. From everything that I've seen out of YouTube at this point, it really looks to me, and this is personal opinion, I can't back any of this up with fact. There's not some document that's laying out there that got leaked, or some big scandalous thing that Susan WikiWiki said in a shadowy room that somebody was recording. There's none of that out there or anything. But just from the patterns that I'm seeing, all the patterns and everything else that are going on with this, it does seem like YouTube is trying to change itself over into being Google's version of Netflix, because I mean, Netflix is out there, Hulu is out there, they're their own independent companies, and they're making massive amounts of money hand over fist because of the pandemic, and just from the fact that my millennial generation doesn't want to wait around for commercials anymore. And so many of us have cut the cord at this point. And then, of course, Apple's got Apple TV as well. Google doesn't have anything currently except for YouTube. So for them to go out and purge off everybody who's not family friendly, who's edgy, who says ridiculous crap, to get them all off the website, and even the independents, just to purge all of them off the website and let these big money producers come in and let YouTube run at a gain for once instead of running at a loss. I could see Google doing that, especially with the actions that they're taking, banning other people off of the platform. And I mean, BitChute is looking like they're trying to dip their toe into live streaming as well. The only problem with BitChute is their massive not buffering times. What's the word I'm looking for? processing times, because you upload a video to BitChute, and sometimes you go back 3 days later and it still hasn't processed. I've got stuff that they canceled processing it because they couldn't get it to process over on BitChute. But they're dabbling their toe in live streaming right now too, and that's part of the problem right now, is in order to get something where you can have a record of it and live stream it at the same time, YouTube is the only thing that you have. Let's see what we've got over here in the chat. Unsatiable says the riots are annoying. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the riots in a little bit. Ilye says hello with a tongue and a bow. Welcome on in. Google doesn't care if YouTube turns a profit. So they say. Any thoughts on how automation is going to destroy the workforce? It's not. Automation isn't going to destroy the workforce. That is a talking point, a stump speech that Andrew Yang went out to try and make his case to give everybody away a bunch of free shit. Bernie Sanders went up there and his whole thing was, I'm just going to give you free shit. And Andrew Yang at least had the audacity to say, name is Eleda. Well, welcome on in, Eleda. And Andrew Yang came out and said, well, the big evil companies are going to turn everything to automation, and that's just going to eliminate jobs, and come and vote for me. I'm a millennial, and I'm going to give you free shit. Is he a millennial or is he a Gen Xer? I think he's a little bit older than me, which would put him, I think he's actually like me. He's just on that line of a millennial and Gen X, but I think he might be over the edge on the other side. I know in some demographics I'm considered Gen X, and in others I'm considered a millennial. I was born in 1984. But the most prominent demographic ones that they put up there say that 82 was the first birth year for the millennial generation. So under most demographics I'm a millennial, but I'm right on the line. What would people in affected industries do? Well, and I've had this gripe about UBI and the shit that Andrew Yang was spewing throughout his entire candidacy. When the Industrial Revolution happened back in the 20s, when we started becoming a manufacturing country, when we started having assembly lines and stuff stopped being handmade, when we stopped having artisans, that was the same thing that we all thought was going to happen at the time. Automation, or not automation, but the Industrial Revolution and the assembly line were going to put millions of people out of work. We were going to crash our country. Nobody was going to know what to do. We were going to, so far, eliminate the butcher shop, the candle maker, the people in town that just did things on an artisan basis. They were all going to be out of work. We were going to kick them to the streets. They weren't ever going to be able to do anything. That's what the Industrial Revolution was going to do. That's what they tried to feed us in the 20s. When the Automobile Revolution came up, and especially when the Automobile Revolution really turned on itself, not necessarily back when the Model T came out, because for the most part, I mean, Henry Ford, as much as I'm going to get for that after him being in the news, when Henry Ford set up the assembly line, his intention was to be able to make a car that the worker could afford. But when the first Model Ts and the first Model As first came out, that still wasn't a dream for everybody. For the most part, people were still going to stay on horseback, but the talk was all there. The horse farmers were going to be out of work. We were going to have to make horses extinct. Horse farms were going to become a thing of the past. All this other stuff that they said that one industrial revolution was going to change. And then once we got to the point where cars started, or let me rephrase that. Once we started getting to a point where there were enough cars that used cars became a thing and cars became affordable, that you had more than one car in a household, because that was it up into the 50s and 60s. You had one, maybe two cars in the household, because that was when the hot rods and everything started coming up. You had like two cars in the household, the family car, and then the one that the kid brought home to beef up. When they started getting more and more and more and more affordable, you had more and more cars, and that, once again, that further drove down the idea that, you know, taxis were going to be a thing of the past. Mass transit, all this other stuff was going to be a thing of the past. Every time we've had a technological advance in this country, They have told us that it was going to put millions of people out of work. It was going to push our country into destitution, people into the poorhouse, and we would have to turn to the government for support. And we have yet to have to do that. Now, of course, we've got an entire political party whose progressive platform has changed itself to force its followers to believe that we need to turn to the government for support. But we have thus far not needed to turn to our government for support because we're an entrepreneurial people. We are business people. We make stuff, we sell stuff, and we go out and seek that dollar. Fast food was going to put little restaurants out of business, and yet they're still in business. That little mom and pop diner in the corner of Central Park was going to go out of business because McDonald's was going to put them under. And that is yet to happen. We, right now, can't imagine the kinds of jobs that are going to come after automation happens. But they're going to come. Because we've never had the technology or the need to have the jobs that are going to come out of the automation boom. Yes, automation is going to happen. I fully accept that. It's not going to hit every industry like Andrew Yang seems to think it is, but it is going to happen. And new jobs are going to come up because of it. I am Rice. Is that how I pronounce that? How are we doing today? So yeah, that's my take on what's going to happen in affected industries. People are going to go out. They're going to take what they learned on the jobs that they did when automation put them out of work, and they're going to use it to do something else. Like my dad. My dad is a great example of this. My dad has been a machinist for his entire life. When he started in the machining practice, he was working in a factory, machining sleeves for Cummins engines. I think it was Cummins when he started. Might not have. Yeah, no, it was Cummins when. No, I think he was on a Cat line when he started. Anyway, he's been making piston sleeves for as long as I can remember. And during the 70s, for the most part, you had to do it by hand. And he's very skilled at that, by the way. I've actually seen the man work. He's really skilled at it. When I was old enough to actually start getting to going to see him, computerization had changed a lot of his job. Now, yes, he still had to punch in the measurements. He still had to do some remedial control of the robotic arm that was doing the machining. But he still knew how to do it. When they retooled the shop for the last update that actually did more of the automation, because more of his job got automated, when they retooled the shop to do more of the automation, he and my second cousin put bids in on a lot of the old-timey machining stuff. Let me finish my thought on that, and then I'll answer that question, Unsatiable. I do like what you're saying there, and I do have a take for that. But let me finish the thought that I was on. So my dad and his cousin went through, because they worked at the same factory pretty much for their entire adult lives. They worked at the same factory. So when they retooled the plant the last time, my dad and his cousin went through and they got all the machinery that they could bid on. Honing machines, various other rotational machining, because they're good at it. They can machine anything that you want. Absolutely anything that you want. They can, whatever tolerance you want, whatever fit you want, and just amazing machining. And there's talks right now, because my dad's job is supposed to be getting shipped out at this point. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's still very convinced that it's supposed to go overseas, but after COVID, I really think that globalism is going to take a hit. I know, of course, his boss is supposed to get some big bonus if he gets the shop shut down, but when your supply line has been interrupted, it gets really hard to trust something coming back out of Turkey that is going to be there as soon as you need it. But they have enough machining tools, bores, bits, lathes, all the other stuff that they can do, that they can come out and they can machine. They can do a small business out of this, and people will go to them. Engine work, dies, CNC, all this kind of stuff. They know how to do it. So the people in the affected industries are going to take what they learned and they're going to bring it down to the private market. Now, have another question for you. Amazon is already putting retailers out of business. Would you ever consider trust busting if Amazon or other company keeps making more and more and more companies go under? No, because I don't trust the government to get involved. The government is made up of people. People like money. That's part of what we saw with COVID, and that's part of what we're actually seeing in these riots here that I'm going to complain about here a little bit later. The government is made up of people. Now, I know that people on the left especially, but a lot of people on both sides of the aisle right now think of the government as some sort of benevolent deity, whether it's Nancy Pelosi is the deity or Trump is the deity. Both of those scare the shit out of me, by the way. And yes, there are people that think both of them are deified at this point. Whether it's one or the other at this point, the people think that that the government is some kind of deity, and they're going to go out and they're going to trust bust absolutely perfectly with no temptation anywhere. Whereas in reality, Jeff Bezos, and I don't know how evil Jeff Bezos is. I've never met the man. For the most part, I don't see much of his track record because he keeps himself out of public life for the most part. So I don't know how he stands on trusts, how he stands on many other topics there, because he keeps his mouth shut. He keeps his mouth shut and he keeps collecting his money, but he can buy and sell everybody in Washington, D.C. at a moment's notice. So if they go out and try and trust bust him at some point, he's going to break his company up and he's going to start laying down $100 bills until the law reflects a way that he can continue to make money and keep putting his competition out of business. He's just going to keep laying down $100 bills, and that's part of the reason I don't like the government being involved in anything like this. Now, think about what Bezos did and how he got to where he is right now. And yes, I do understand the fact that he has a lot of money and he's putting a lot of people under. But remember, he came out of nothing. For us to say trust bust this and trust bust that is to say that our society has come to a point where it's impossible for somebody else to go out and do the same. And I mean, okay, I will say this, and I look at my generation, the millennial generation, and I think for the most part, you might be onto something. My generation was sold a bill of fucking shit that said that if you just pay your taxes, the government will build your roads and the government will do it all for you because, well, they got used to getting their way all the time. The last vestiges of the baby boomers and the early vestiges of the Generation Xers that raised us had one of the highest divorce rates in our country so far. Our divorce rate is dropping right now because theirs was so bad. So my whole generation grew up, for the most part. Now, my parents stayed together. I know a few parents that did stay together through and through, but for a very large swath of my generation, they grew up going back and forth between mom's house and dad's house, mom and dad both saying bad things about the other, mom's new husband and dad's new wife saying bad things about mom and dad, going back and forth between these houses, and mom and dad both trying to buy off their affections and both trying to be the cool parent. There was no discipline anymore. So they come out and they trust the government, and they're used to just having everything handed to them if they threaten to go out to somebody else or they whine enough. So, yeah, you may be onto something. My generation may not build something huge, but I mean, some of us do have our perks as well. I know Jake and I started up Freedom Scoop, and we're trying to grow. I don't think just because you came from nothing and built a successful business, you should allow you to make every competitor go under. If they don't, you just buy them out like Amazon did with Whole Foods, Zappos, and Twitch. But where I'm getting with this, of course, and that's actually the road that I'm going down when I'm talking about this, you're sitting here saying that it may be impossible for somebody else to rise up and take this place above Amazon and put Amazon under. Amazon put a few companies under that we thought were too big to fail. Amazon put a lot of people out of it. Nobody would have thought that Amazon would have ever been able to buy Whole Foods, that Whole Foods was going to rise up and become the yuppie grocery store that is going to put everything else, especially with the millennial generation, needing to have Whole Foods because it's organic and it's wonderful. Nobody thought that Bezos was ever going to be able to buy that and change that. Twitch, I don't know, because that was never a really huge thing, but that gave him opportunity to spew his propaganda through gamers and bribe them with advertisers. But yeah, somebody else is going to come up. Amazon will fall. Amazon is going to fall at some point. Look at healthcare. Well, the government intervention had a lot to do with that, from busting all that. But all the names, all the big names that we heard, except for Blue Cross, are nowhere to be seen anymore. He literally owns a journalist publication. Yeah, I know, and I don't read it. And if I do read it, I fucking archive that shit. He's pissed a lot of people off with that. And a lot of people that still trust the news out and out got pissed off a lot by Jeff Bezos. But yeah, somebody else is going to come up, rise up. And with COVID, it looks good for Bezos right now with COVID. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of people were ordering stuff off Amazon because of the supply chain being interrupted and him having his opportunity to do so. But a lot of that artisan thing that I talked about in the beginning with automation started to come back. People are looking at getting a lot more locally sourced stuff. I mean, I've looked at the idea of trying to get into a processing house because the processing of meat got interrupted somewhere. I'm starting to look into maybe possibly finding a way to do that. To build a commercial industry where I can be the middleman between the farmers and the little meat markets, where you're not getting your hanging quarters from your meat shop anymore, where I can go through, cut up a cow or a pig, get it into a box into large enough chunks where the meat market can go and custom cut it to the customer's specification. Because a lot of these customers out there don't trust your IVP, your Cargill, your Tyson anymore because their supply chain got interrupted. You're going to see a lot more of this artisan stuff come up, and there's going to be a lot more market for it because people don't want to depend on the big industries anymore. They'd rather go out and, let me rephrase that. They'd rather stay in their homes and buy stuff if they can, but they want that feeling to know that they can go out at this point and buy something from the local artisan because the supply chain is interrupted because of some massive pandemic that came out. Do you think Amazon will allow people to compete? He has the capital, the market share, and the journalists at the ready to run hit pieces. I don't think he's going to have a choice. Now, of course, the left in this country is going to latch on to everything that he says because it's coming out of the Washington Post, and they actually trust that Washington Post, where democracy goes out to die in darkness. But once again, somebody else is going to rise up. And, of course, we're already hearing about the stories that come out of the things that we're hearing about Amazon are the same things that we heard about Walmart. And a technology change, that's something else you have to keep in mind when we're thinking about this and doing this. A technology change could really screw Amazon, and it's going to be a technology that we cannot comprehend or imagine right now. Online shopping. Put Walmart under because they've never been able to have a website with the delivery times and what's the word I'm thinking for? The delivery times, the cost, the shipping availability that Amazon was able to do. Or the stability of the website, because their website keeps crashing all the time when you go to try and buy things. They do have technical glitches left and right when you try and buy online from Walmart. And we thought back in the 90s that Walmart was too big. And to the most part, they're not failing by any means, but they're taking a huge cut out of the market share because of online shopping. Because I can go to Amazon, and we'll use them as the example right now. I can go to Amazon, buy the same thing that's on the Walmart shelf, usually for a couple bucks less, have it delivered to my door in 2 days. No muss, no fuss, and no shipping. Hello, Mr. Beast. Hello, Raw Plate. I don't know where you're getting Mr. Beast from, but hello. Welcome on in. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them up in the live chat. So, and that's a lot. I don't know how old you are, Unsatiable, but a lot of the arguments that you're putting forward about Amazon were the same arguments that we were saying about Walmart in the 90s. He is a YouTuber. I'm not familiar with him. No, a lot of what you're... Yeah. Because in the 90s, when we couldn't imagine what online shopping would ever be, Walmart was going out and buying up all the stuff, all the supplies and all of everything else, putting it on the shelf for a couple bucks less in one place where you could go buy your tires, your candles, your food once they started doing the super center, your clothes, your birthday cards, and your big screen TV. You could do all of that in one place. And because of that, we thought that they were going to put everybody under. They were going to be too big to fail, and nobody was going to be able to come up and compete with them anymore. Where am I from? I am from the United States, raw plate. So when we saw what we saw to Walt, and yeah, I'm familiar with all of these arguments. There's going to be a technological change somewhere down the road. And like I said, we cannot comprehend it right now. Did Walmart ever own a news publication, a robotics company, and an AI company at the same time? Well, we didn't have AI at the time, so that would be impossible. Robotics was still in its infancy at the time. So once again, these are the technological changes I'm talking about. Technology changes every day, dude. And a news publication, well, we didn't have a lot of big national news publications at the time either. You have to keep that in mind. Online news was in its infancy at the time. But I'm sure they had their fingers in a lot of local newspapers, so maybe didn't own them outright, but definitely had a controlling interest in them. So technology changes. Amazon is going to fall one day. And when its competitor rises up and goes against them and causes them to fall, some future content creator and one of his live stream audience members are going to be having this exact same conversation about a company that we can't imagine on technology that we can't even think about right now. So will there ever be a point where action has to be taken on Amazon? Who does the action? That's the problem. I'm from Ireland. Well, welcome on in. I've got one of the other creators on the Freedom Scoop Media Group is really into Irish history. How much market share would they have to own, or any company own, before action has to take place? Who does the action? That's my question for you. That is the question I'm asking you about this, is who takes the action? Who is uncorruptible enough to take the action against Amazon? Who cannot be bought that we can trust to take this action? That's my question for you on this. Amazon will fall naturally on its own. Or they'll piss off enough of their workers, which that was the other problem with Walmart. That was the other argument that we heard with Walmart, is that Walmart treats its employees like shit. Nobody wants to go to work there. And you know where a lot of people left Walmart to go work? At Amazon, at their fulfillment centers that are coming up. They won't get to 90% of the market. That's a pipe dream. That is a pipe dream. Local buyers will prevent that. And there are people that won't go to Amazon because they are going up onto that. None of them are millennials, of course. No. It would be impossible for Amazon to buy up 90% of the market. That is impossible. They don't have the volume. They don't have the ability. And enough cities want to keep them out. They want the NIMBY bullshit that goes along with Amazon. And I don't trust Amazon. I'm not trying to stay in the defense of that. But what I am saying is the fact that somebody else will take Amazon out on their own. The free market will take Amazon down. If a company were to get the majority of the market share, you still think no action should be taken because of there being no perfect entity? No, let the free market decide. Get the government out of everything and let the free market decide what's going to be the best. Let the consumers decide where they want to buy from. And if they all decide that they want to go out and buy from Amazon, well, then Jeff Bezos can sit and cry into $100 bills. over it. And if you want to take the strike at Amazon, I would suggest as well that you come up and build up your Twitch channel and you start speaking out against Amazon. Site QE, I can't read your language, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but thanks for coming in and stopping by. Diane Ak. Still can't read that. I'm sorry. Can you say it in English? Amazon owns Twitch. They'll take my channel down. Well, no dissent allowed. Well, there's DLive. I mean, you can see we have DLive all around the world. I'm guessing by what little bit I know from that other language, our new friend here is from Turkey. So no, if you don't want Amazon to get all the market share, then don't buy from Amazon. That's my thing. If that's your big concern. I don't buy from Walmart because I don't want them to have their market share and they won't sell 5.56 ammo. I don't buy from them because they don't deserve my money. So that's the thing too. And there are a lot of other people out there, former workers, family of former workers from Amazon. If they really are treating their employees as badly as people say they were, then that's going to drive out the market share. You Muslim, yes or no? I am not. I am Christian. I don't buy from Walmart, but I go to Walmart because it's the best thing to do when you're bored. Yeah, I used to do that in college, actually, which was a long time ago at this point. The Walmart in the town that I went to, the most stereotypical people go there. The Walmart that was closest to the school that I went to college in was a 24-hour Walmart. That was a brand new thing when I was in college. 24-hour Walmart. That was a brand new thing. And the girl I was dating at the time, she worked until midnight at a grocery store in the next town over from where I went to school. So, yeah, that was the only thing that we could do. There were a couple bowling alleys that would stay open after she got out of work, but for the most part, I'd go pick her up from the grocery store and we'd go wander around Walmart because it was open. We never bought anything. I can't do that anymore. I can't go into a store and not buy anything because I feel like there's no manners in it. But yeah, we used to do that. But yeah, they got up on their high horse and they said, "We will not sell assault rifle ammo because this is the type of ammo that was used in Sandy Hook and in this shooting and in that shooting." I said, well, then you don't need my money. It's plain and simple. Now, if you just stayed shut up about it, and that's the thing too. It's the grandstanding I can't stand. It's not the policy. It's the grandstanding. If they just stayed shut up about it and just pulled it off the shelf, because I don't buy guns and stuff from. I know Walmart sells guns. I don't buy from there. I'll go to somewhere local to get guns because I know the gunsmith. I know the person who would be repairing it if something happened. And my brother-in-law owns a gun shop anyway. So it's not like I was going to Walmart to buy the 5.56 ammo. It's just the fact that they got up on their high horse and said, well, we're not going to do this because we are saintly and we believe in safety for everybody. No, this 5.56, the semi-auto, it's a scary assault rifle. Yeah, no, you don't need my fucking money. You don't need my money. I guess I scared that guy off when I told him I wasn't a Muslim. I figured. Maybe he's coming to behead me. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a beheading YouTube video. Are those still allowed? I don't know. Well, Unsatiable, we're getting up on the hour marker, so I will congratulate you on the fact that I have gone this entire time and not talked about the riots, which I probably should talk about, but no. And I always said from the beginning, this show is shaped by the audience. This is not shaped by what I have on the itinerary is not what shapes the show. This is an audience show. And the riots are gay. Well, there's a lot to say about it. Maybe I'll make it just a live stream. Well, I know we'll talk about more on contemporary, and there's a lot more to say. I know it's probably well before you get up in the morning Unsatiable because you're out on that Pacific coast, but yeah, check contemporary out sometime. It's on Twitch. I don't know how to save clips on Twitch. Maybe you can teach me how to do that. You ever watch the Boondocks? I have not. Gold Ducat, sticker removed. Welcome on in. The Boondocks. No, I remember when they stopped doing that as a comic strip and made it as a cartoon. It's just, I was getting out of the cartoons at that point. I was just getting old enough where I didn't really want to sit down and watch Adult Swim anymore. I was starting to get to the point where I was getting too busy. I remember the comic strip. Hi, Gold Ducat. Welcome on in. If you have any questions, we're going to go probably 10 more minutes. The Boondocks is very well animated and actually funny. Yeah, no, if it's got the same writers as the comic strip did, I absolutely 100% believe that, because there was a lot of good writing in that. It's like Afro Samurai. Nice. Well, then they changed some things up from the comics, but in tier of animation. Well, then they changed some stuff up from the comics, but yeah, that was... No, the comic strip, which I used to read when I was in high school, was really good, really well written. Are you Muslim? I am not Muslim. I am Christian. Stop after the new seasons because the author of the original doesn't write for them anymore. Yeah. Watch the original seasons. Well, what does that stream on? Because I don't have any cable or anything here. And because we just had the discussion about Amazon, I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I got season 1 on Amazon. Torrents? Okay. I do have Prime Video, but I don't pay for anything there. I just watch whatever they put on there for free. It's completely illegal to torrent. Of course it is. Just like Ares and LimeWire and whatever. What else was there for peer-to-peer stuff? Yeah, that was all legal too. If Amazon buys Netflix, all hope is lost. I don't think Netflix would sell. They did too well off the pandemic. They did really, really... Because I read the stocks every morning on Contemporary, so I know how they did. And they made out like a bandit on the pandemic. They made out like a bandit. The whole world is covering their whammon now. Mohammed for the win. Oh, the masks? Yeah. PutLockerTV.to is a good site. Use ad blocker. Do not use it on a computer that has access to online banking. Noted. Would it work on a Raspberry Pi? Because I started looking those up last night, and I think I might have just found myself a new hobby. Actually, I want to build a smart home with Raspberry Pi and an emulator, because I'm a stereotypical 90s kid, and I want my Sega Genesis emulator on Raspberry Pi. Yeah, isn't that amazing? And that is the thing, because when I was growing up, Droid is better and faster. No, Unsatiable, yeah, this goes back onto what you and I were talking about earlier. When I was growing up, Family Video and Blockbuster were in the same boat as what we were talking about with Walmart at the time. That was the big thing, and they were too big to fail because of a technology that we could not have imagined at the time. We thought that Blockbuster was going to be around forever. And then Netflix came in, and that was before they had streaming too. Netflix came in and said, "Oh, well, we'll mail your DVD to you. You keep it as long as you want, and then just send it back when you're done." And we thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. And nobody wanted to get to it. And Blockbuster had the chance to buy them. They wanted to merge up with Blockbuster. Netflix wanted to merge up with Blockbuster, and Blockbuster said no. And then broadband internet came in, and streaming got discovered, and the technology changed, and now Blockbuster's out of business. Whereas Blockbuster had the market cornered in the 90s. Yeah, they know they have to buy rising companies. Single board computers is the future. If you can put a product out using that, you will make millions. Yeah, no, I just, within the last 24 hours, learning what Raspberry Pi was. I thought Raspberry Pi was just nothing but a small chip that you could use as a video game emulator. Because that, up until yesterday, that was all that I had ever heard about them being used for. But then I heard somebody else mention that they were using Raspberry Pi, I think it's a thermostat, in their house. And I realized that I had kind of heard here and there, what the hell is that kid's name? Michael Reeves over on YouTube used Raspberry Pi and a couple of other things too. I don't know if somebody's out there jumping on a trampoline or if somebody's got a bed outside and they're doing it on there, but that's what it sounds like outside my window. I didn't close my windows. It's too nice out for that. If my neighbors want to sit here and listen to me talk to my live chat and not see what the live chat is saying, that's on them. But yeah, it sounds like somebody's doing it out there. Anyway, where was I going with that? No. So yeah, I like I said, within the last 24 hours, I figured out that Raspberry Pi was more than game emulators, and I'm actually kind of interested in it as a hobby now. So I'm going to probably, as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to start putting audio up for the last week because I haven't done it yet. iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, by the way. If anybody else wants to listen to the back catalog of everything, go ahead and check that out. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, while I'm doing the audio stuff, I'm actually going to read more about Raspberry Pi and some of the projects that they're doing. Because, I could build a smart home with maybe 1 or 2 Raspberry Pis, and it's a computer that's probably got more processing power than this, the laptop that we're streaming this through, for like $35 on a credit card size. That's a hobby I want to get into. All right, I got more questions here. Okay. Amazon knows when they have to buy rising companies. Well, there's going to be a company out there that's not going to sell to Amazon. They're going to give Bezos the finger. Maybe Amazon will buy Freedom Scoop. No, I'll tell Bezos to fuck himself. Maybe. No, I will. Fuck that. Do you prefer Altered Beast or Sonic? Well, I don't know what Altered Beast is, so I will have to say Sonic. I will look into what Altered Beast is. In 2 weeks, when I do Ed Talk again, I will have an answer for you. But for right now, I'm going to say Sonic. Have you guys ever seen Sonic for Hire, the YouTube series? It's hilarious. And yes, we're talking about big tech again. Using big tech after I said that you should go out and check out smaller tech. But yeah, if you're ever scrolling through YouTube and you want to laugh, there are like 7 seasons of 2-minute videos at a time called Sonic for Hire. It's Sonic going through the video game world and taking various jobs at various video games from the 80s and 90s. It's hilarious. The language is salty as fuck. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. All right, what else do we got? Unsatiable says, yeah, they're getting pretty advanced. I put all my eggs in one basket and won. I beat the market by being a fanboy. I don't know what happened there, but beat that market. Beat that market. Beat that market like it owes you money, which it kind of does. Think about Nest thermostats. They made a ton of money because smart tech. I bought $1,000 of AMD stock at 2.5 with Robinhood back in high school, and they sold at 36.7. Nice. Yeah, they're jumping up. That's one that's always on the rise when I read IBD every morning. One of them that is always every day is continually on the rise has been AMD. They have not had a bad day since I started Contemporary back in February. They have not had a single bad day. So yeah, if you have AMD, I wouldn't even sell that right now. I would just hang on to that for a little while longer because they are on the rise. I know you've already sold it already, but yeah, if you still have some, I would hang on to that, dude. The taxes on selling was capital gains. Yeah, so I know a guy. I'm not going to say who it is. He might be related to me. I know a guy who went out. He had a CRP farm at one point and a house. Sold both of them and moved into a new house. Was able, because what they had out of both the properties, was able to pay the house off right away. And then I found out that he had a mortgage again. And I couldn't figure out why. I have not had an official statement out of this, so I don't know what it might be, but I think it might have been the capital gains tax off the sale of the property. But I don't know. But yeah, anytime you do any sort of capital gain, yeah, the government's going to come after it for their cut. The government wants their money. They want their money, and they want it hard. I got scared when the markets were crashing, so I sold. Didn't mind selling, made a big-ass profit, didn't work for 2 years. That's not bad. That is not bad. If I didn't work for 2 years, I would still work because I'm kind of a workaholic. If I didn't have to go and punch the clock every day, and this is just another, just a little aside. We're over time at this point, but I'm gonna keep going because you guys are here and you're having a good conversation. Um, yeah, one of the things that I've looked into right now is, I am overwhelmed on my schedule. I am not gonna lie about that. Between the daily show, the gaming show, the podcast, and my 40-hour a week job, it's getting hard to balance everything. Now, the fact that I live 5 miles away from work right now helps. Definitely helps. But I'm looking right now at ways that I can go ahead and I can still get the money off a career that people actually make money off of and be more flexible in my schedule. Work and make appointments around a schedule that I make. And I do think that there's going to be a boom in that market too. So I'm actually going to I want to look into taking my real estate license test. I chilled and drank coffee and played games. Nice. I would have traveled if I'd had that. No, I would have. If I didn't have to go punch the clock for a while, I would go out and try and build a business out of it. Well, what I'm doing now, I would start streaming stuff. I would start seeing if I could get writers on to start writing stuff. I'd build a platform just like I'm doing now if I didn't have to go to work for 2 years. But I'd be doing it for myself, not necessarily going in and working for somebody else like I'm trying to do now. That's what I would do if I didn't have to work for a couple of years. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm going to go take my real estate license because I think that there's going to be some shuffling going on around this country. And I think we're going to adopt some Californians and some New Yorkers. The New Yorkers might not like me. It was only $14,000 in profit, so I lived modestly after high school in my parents' basement doing anything I wanted. Yeah, I moved out when I was 17. No, I was 8. How the fuck old was I? I was 18, wasn't I? Yeah, I was 18. Yeah, I moved out right away. I could not. I didn't. I didn't want to live in the area that my parents did. Was the big thing. I did not want to live there, so I got out as soon as I could. And I wrote it in a Quora thread too. Somebody had talked to me about making terrible financial decisions, and I cited my ex-girlfriend, who I supported, even though she made twice the amount of money that I did. I was in a point when we were in the Obama recession where you'd go to work for 90 days and they'd can your ass before they had to start paying you benefits, or they underemployed you. They paid you less than what you were worth to go and do it wasn't like now where people were begging people to come and work for them. It was at a point where there were a lot more workers than there were jobs. So it was at the time, and yeah, I was a victim of the economy. It happened. I pulled myself out, and I said in the Quora thread that I was one of the few people on the millennial generation that didn't go back and live at home with mommy and daddy when I was at my lowest point. I did manage to keep the roof over my head. Barely. I'll give you that. I was getting worried a few times, but I did manage to keep the roof over my head. But yeah, so many people went out and lived in their parents'. I couldn't live in my parents' house anymore when I grew up and got out. All right. Own any stocks right now? No, I do not. I'm looking into the idea because I've got enough paid off from where I was at my lowest point, because I fell into a little bit of debt, because it happens when you're at that as low of a point as I was, you fall into a little bit of debt. I've got enough of that paid off where I could actually look into owning stock, but I haven't set the money aside to do that. I want to pay just a little bit more off before I get into it. My biggest dumb financial decision was the sex doll after selling the stocks. Nice. Somebody say something, because we can't close on that. All right. Actually, we are going to close on that. So, thanks everybody who came in, even if I couldn't read the language and what you were saying there. Unsatiable, thanks for the good conversation coming in and out here. And I didn't have to talk about any of the riots here. So, thanks for that. McConnell Smuggles Coke, thanks for coming in and checking us out and giving me some advice on Nest thermostats and Raspberry Pi projects. Yeah, this is something I'm really interested in now that I know what it is. So, look for that as we go along here. Fuck, I might even stream from my Raspberry Pi. Who knows? Like I said, the Generation 4, from what I was reading about it, has more processing power than my HP over here. Let's see. Goldicott, thanks for coming in. I love that screen name, by the way, Goldicott. I really, really enjoyed Deep Space Nine, and Goldicott was he was a complex character. I like that. Let's see. We had a few other here. Site QE, who must be Turkish, and I can't read your language, I apologize, but thanks for coming and checking me out anyway. That's awesome. Let's see. Raw Plate, the Irish guy, thanks for coming in and checking us out. I will go look into Mr. Beast. Thanks for the suggestion. I am Rice. Thanks for coming and checking us out. Sorry you didn't have any questions, but we'll get you next time. You told me how to pronounce that. Ileda, that was what it was. Yeah, thanks for coming and check us out. And Kovat Boyka is going to be the last one there that I read out on there. So, yeah, thanks everybody for coming and checking us out, giving the questions in. We will be back here on Monday with more contemporary. We will talk about the riots because I can't get around that. And we will be back here on Monday night for Ed's World, so come and check out the interview there. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking very much forward to that. Woman's name is Elaine. I forget what her Twitter is, but she's another one of the redheaded libertarians over on Twitter. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll go and check that out and read back the news. Or we'll be back here Tuesday night for more Fallout New Vegas, so come and check us out. And keep in mind that I'll be on vacation the following week. We'll still be doing contemporary. I won't be doing gaming the following week, but we'll still be doing contemporary. I've got a guest host for a couple of the episodes while I'll be in transit. And John from the Generational Gap will be hosting Ed's World, so go and check him out too. That'll be on all of my channels, so go and check that out. Other than that, we will see you on Monday with whichever show you decide to come and check us out. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for giving your questions. And thank you for coming to my Ed Talk. Take care.